Disney shuts down Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. Harrison Ford gets a little teary-eyed after a showing of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And what will James Gunn's Superman be? How is he going to be portrayed? All that on today's episode of Bridging the Geekdoms. What's going on, everybody? How's it shaking? It's been a couple weeks. I was a little busy last week with coaching duties. Been coaching some soccer, so I had to do some soccer coaching last week and some other stuff. There's a bunch of stuff. Oh man, the past few weeks have been absolutely hectic. Hectic, I tell you. But how's it going? I hope you all enjoyed the past couple weeks. I hope you've had time to take in all of the big news that is falling in the pop culture world. For those of you who have never checked out our show before, this setup's pretty simple. First 15-20 minutes, we just talk about some hot topics of the week, and then the final half of the show is dedicated to a main topic. This week's main topic is all about James Gunn's Superman, and he gives us some insight on what to expect and some of the qualities that he appreciates in former versions of Superman. And we can kind of gather that's probably what he's going to do with his version, as well as some casting possibilities. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. Oh boy. Yeah. I tell you what, I've been trying to get more content out on the channel. I've been trying to make sure I get a video posted at least once a day, if not up to 4 to 5 times a week. And it's really tough. I think I found a pretty good way of doing it. So definitely make sure you subscribe and like the channel. Follow us to see all the videos that I'm putting out. We are also going to be at Three Rivers Comic-Con on June 3rd and 4th in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We will have a booth there. We will be talking with anybody who wants to come to the booth. We're going to be giving away some stuff, and hopefully going to be partaking in doing some interviews with people. We're looking to have a good time. 2 filled days of convention madness. So it should be fun. So if you are in the Pittsburgh area, if you're going to be going to Three Rivers Comic-Con, make sure you stop by our booth. Colton and I will be there. Should be a lot of fun. All right, let's get into it. This is actually pretty much like breaking news as of like the last, I don't know, what was it? Like 2 or 3 hours. Oh man, breaking news. Here we are. So, this is coming from Bounding Into Comics. Disney shuts down Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel in another piece of mounting evidence that Disney has destroyed the Star Wars brand. That's crazy. 10 years ago, when Disney purchased Lucasfilm from George Lucas, and they were looking to expand the galaxy, expand all of what Lucasfilm has created and what George Lucas had created. Could you imagine 10 years we would actually be in a worse spot than we were prior to that sale? So Disney reportedly announced the closure of the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser after barely just a year of being open. It is just the latest in an ever-growing mountain of evidence that the company succeeded in fundamentally destroying the Star Wars brand. Now, the Galactic Star Cruiser was described by the official site as a revolutionary 2-night experience where you are the hero. You and your group will embark on a first-of-its-kind Star Wars adventure that's your own. It's the most immersive Star Wars story ever created, one where you live a bespoke experience and journey further into a Star Wars adventure than you ever dreamed possible. Now, when it was announced the hotel was going to charge $1,200 per guest per night, or $4,800 for a voyage for just a standard cabin room for 2 guests. That price went for families of 3. The price increased almost $900 per guest per night, or $5,299 for a voyage. Families of 4 cost $750 per guest, or $6,000 total for a voyage total. You want to you want some understanding on why this failed. That's a big reason right there. Like, I get, there's Disney loves to Disney-fy things. They love to they love to try and act like everything they do is amazing and perfect. And it goes to show you with how they handle things, even from their cast members, where they have like secret entrances and exits, so the people at the park never see them partially in costume or not working. And I get that. That's great and all. But when you start
okay.
when you start charging what's going on here? When you start charging your guests $6,000 for a family of 4, to go on a short little cruise, the Star Wars fan is not going to pay that. Yes, you have some crazy people who are out there who will pay it. Disney is expensive enough. When you think about a 4 or 5 night stay at Disney, or even a week stay at Disney, on top of tickets and concessions and souvenirs and travel, I mean, you're talking close to $10,000 plus when you take your family. And that, though, gives you a whole lot more than just Star Wars. They didn't think this through. This was planned and managed very poorly.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah,
they should have made it more affordable. They should have made it more kid friendly. They should have made it where you're not paying an arm and a leg to go to this. That's why it failed.
You're attacking me.
That is why it failed.
But I'm actually really trying to help you.
I was seeing over on Twitter, Stephen King is trying to blame
so then he goes here and he says
Ron DeSantis for this failing. And it's like, no, this is poor management. This has nothing to do with the political issues in Florida. This failed because it just was too much money.
No, go back.
Too much money.
I need to read the tweet. It says, stop saying violent video games are harmless just because you like playing them.
Yes, 2 adults, 1 child.
There because I think
$5,300. 3 adults, 1 child, $6,000.
You can find it through an archive or the other URL.
I have it.
It's so mad. It's so crazy.
But I didn't include this, but he's like,
a Disney spokesman
but it's clearly available.
Attempted to spin the hotel shuttering after just a little over a year, saying Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser is one of our most creative projects ever and has been praised by our guests and recognized for setting a new bar for innovation and immersive entertainment.
So he's too hasty.
They add, this premium boutique experience gave us the opportunity to try new things on a smaller scale of 100 rooms. And as we prepare for its final voyage, we will take what we've learned to create future experiences that can reach more of our guests and fans. And there it is, right there.
We all know it's pretend. We all know
they're admitting
we know you're
in a haphazardly way
kill people, your favorite recreational
they couldn't reach their fans and their guests
in real life, but it's still not good.
How they should have.
It's still pretty disturbing that you find
that is a problem.
Simulated death and destruction. So I get this.
Scott Gustin also relayed that in a statement Disney wrote, "We are so proud of all the cast members and Imagineers who brought Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser to life and look forward to delivering an excellent experience for guests during the remaining voyages over the coming months."
He says, "We all know it's pretend. We all know the images are digital. We know you are not a serial killer. But the fact remains that you still enjoy pretending to kill people."
If you're somebody who's a big Star Wars fan, was looking to go enjoy yourself there, it looks like it's not going to happen anytime soon. And honestly, I mean, are you shocked? Are you surprised? I'm not, because Disney doesn't know how to Disney anymore. They are so set on trying to please the wrong type of people, trying to execute the wrong type of projects, that they've lost sight of what has made Disney so appealing for so many years. All right, let's pull this up here. Let me see. So let me know your thoughts. I want to know what you think about this whole shuttering of the Star Cruiser Hotel in Disney. Is it that big of a deal to you? I mean, some people, I guess it is. Some people, it's not. All right, moving on. Indiana Jones. I'm going to stick with the Lucasfilm stuff. We got Indiana Jones. And today, per Hollywood Reporter, Harrison Ford gets teary-eyed during the 6-minute standing ovation for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny at the Cannes Film Festival. Now, honestly, let's really think about it here. Harrison Ford's probably really stoned right now, so he doesn't really know what's going on. No, Harrison Ford's great. I'm hoping the movie is good. I'm really hoping the movie is good, because this is the end of Indiana Jones as we know it, and I'd be really, 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 really disappointed if it fails, if it becomes the next Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which I think is still better than Temple of Doom, but to the general audience, they were not fans of that film. But if Disney Disney-fies it, that is what's scary. That is what I don't want to see happen. I don't want to see Disney Disney-fy Indiana Jones like they Disney-fied Star Wars. So that's scary. That is 100% scary. I'm not looking forward to it because I think it could really, really, really hurt Indiana Jones and the legacy of Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford is such a big Indiana Jones fan, probably more so than 90 to 100% of the fans. He loves the character, has always loved the character. But here's the thing. He's not going to be able to do it anymore. So they're going to have to move on. And I would hate to see them ruin what, even with the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in there, I would hate to see them ruin the legacy of Indiana Jones. I really would. So I'm hoping it's good. Probably more hopeful than I should be, but it's coming out just in, a month's time. I'm sure we're going to start hearing things on social media, on the internet. People are probably going to talk about this. And yeah. All right. Okay, so let me know your thoughts on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Are you looking forward to it? Yeah, just let me know in the comments. All right, so let's move on to our next topic. All right, so Prime the Godfather, Prime as he's most known as being called, he tweeted this little video from James Gunn, and let's pull this up here because this is where we're going to get into our main topic a bit. This is interesting. This talks a lot about what his plans, James Gunn's plans, are not so much what his plans are, but what he appreciated of Christopher Reeve as Superman. Now, Prime says, me and my cousin just talking about this last night, and we're DC aficionados, and we knew they were going for a golden age Superman for Superman Legacy. We knew they were going to try the Christopher Reeve approach. Shaking my damn head. Well, it's more known now, but I truly understand the business side approach to this. It's the general audience and the audience that is there in their late 40s and 50s. The man babies kept on bitching. Now the execution is going to be the key to finish his film, but I still believe it. We'll get clowned this generation by going with this version, but only time will tell. Man of Steel is the best Superman film, hands down, and Gunn has some huge shoes to fill. And that's from Prime's Twitter. But here's what James Gunn had to say.
did exactly what we're doing now. They're going through tons and tons of actors to see who captures that spirit. The thing they don't talk about much when they talk about Christopher Reeve, they talk about his pureness, his hope, his goodness. They talk about, you know, the way that he plays Clark as being so different from the way he plays Superman and how he can turn that on in an instant. But there's this playfulness about Superman. This, when he's saving a cat, he's got that wry smile.
Bye, Frisky. Long now.
And that is one of the best parts of the movie, is the playfulness of Superman. He enjoys what he's doing. He likes helping human beings. He likes.
All right, so let's take a look at this real quick, because does what he's saying negate what there was when it comes to Man of Steel? Was Man of Steel not getting Superman right? And the one argument that comes up all of the time, is it's a story. It's called storytelling. So let me bring this up here, because this is another interesting thing that came up. Moonlight Warrior on Twitter, needing 5 films for Henry Cavill to become Superman everyone knows and loves is exactly why Snyder's plan failed. You see, Zack Snyder had a plan. Zack Snyder was going to give us the Superman that we all wanted and that James Gunn is talking about there. You know, the Prince of Black Saints. This is exactly what Henry Cavill would be post Justice League 3. It's called character development. And here's the thing. Yes, absolutely. That's fine. You can have character development. But we were in an age of filmmaking, of superhero and comic book movies, where the general audience wasn't looking for commitment for 5 years to see their childhood superhero become the superhero who they wanted. You take a look at Iron Man, you take a look at Captain America, you take a look at Thor. In one film, they became the hero that was on the comic book page in some form or fashion. I always say this, I always tell people that Man of Steel is a Clark Kent movie. Clark Kent movie, first and foremost. There is no doubt about that, because it's about Clark's journey in becoming Superman. Yes, there are moments in that film, there are moments that we see him as that Superman, the hopefulness, the with the smile and the willing to help in any way possible. No, we didn't get any scenes of him getting a cat out of a tree. But that was Zack Snyder's decision, because he wanted a world threat. He didn't want Superman to be a man of the people at that point in time. And that continues in Batman vs. Superman, where now that Clark Kent understands what his place is in the world, now it's, okay, will the world accept me for who I am? And again, you deal with some pretty heavy storytelling there. And no, you're not going to see the full Superman who's willing to, sacrifice himself and do the things he has to do that people love to see in the comic books until the very end of that movie. Again, I get it. I understand where you all come from when you say it's storytelling. Because look, I said, I hate to say I agree, but Moonlight is right. Look, I loved Man of Steel, BVS, and Zack Snyder's Justice League, but the general audience doesn't want to wait 10 plus hours to see the real Superman. And that is the problem that so many Snyder boys and Snyder fans don't understand. They don't understand that the general audience, the ones who are going to make a movie hit $900 million to $1 billion, they're the ones who don't want to wait 10 films. They want to see their heroes on screen in that first movie. And it's not just that. I mean, you take a look at today's world. Nobody is patient. Everybody wants that instant gratification in any way, shape, or form. That's why when it comes to YouTube videos, they tell you should make cuts every 5, 6, 10 seconds at most. And with TikTok and YouTube Shorts, it's all about quick cuts and fast entertainment. So are you really shocked that the general audience doesn't want a 10-hour plus story to finally see the man that they've grew up with and that they have loved seeing in the comics that Christopher Reeve portrayed so well? You can't blame the general audience for that. And that is truly the big issue that I think people have, is that they're upset that the general audience didn't want to sit there and watch all of these films and get to that point. Don't get me wrong. Blake Huggins, it's called storytelling. I said, don't get the wrong impression. I was all on board with what Zach was doing, and I completely understand that, and even use that same defense that it was a story that was being built, but it didn't work for the general audience. And a lot of fans are not man enough to admit and see that it didn't work for the general audience. And that's the facts right there. But does what James Gunn said, does that mean we're going to see a Superman that is
tons and tons of actors to
exactly
see who captures that spirit? The thing they don't talk about much when they talk about Christopher Reeve, they talk about his pureness, his hope, his goodness. They talk about
like he's saying, people they talk about his pureness, his goodness, his hope. Yes, Henry Cavill had those characteristics, but he didn't have all of it, and it wasn't always portrayed on screen. And that's what people want. But are we going to get a Christopher Reeve Superman in Superman Legacy? Is that what we're going to see? Because honestly, I don't think we're going to. I even replied to Prime here. Let's see if I can find it. Where is it at? I thought I replied to him. Maybe I didn't. But I replied to him. I don't think it's going to be that he's going to clone and copy what Christopher Reeve was, but he's going to take what inspired him to be a fan of Superman. He's going to take those little intricacies from whether it's Christopher Reeve, Henry Cavill, or whomever. He's going to take that stuff and make it about and make his own Superman and make it work. That's what I think he's going to do. But there's so many people who are out there who just want to find a reason to hate on. They want to hate on James Gunn for no real reason. And it's crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy to me. Like, personally, I want to see what James Gunn will do, because I think he's going to do a hell of a job. I really do. But so many people just think it's going to be terrible. I don't know. All right. Moving on. We also got some information right here. The Hollywood Reporter, just a few days ago, about 5 days ago, end of last week, put out an article searching for Superman inside to the quest to cast DC's new top hero. And this is an exclusive that they have. And they talk about the casting and who they've been looking at and who the potential front runners are for the upcoming Superman Legacy. Some names that have popped up are David Corenswet, which he could work. Sure. I think he could be a good Superman. I think he has the look, but a lot of people think that his look is too similar to that of Henry Cavill's. And if that's the case, then nobody's going to want to really see or do or like get along with that. And this is what he is. It looks like right here. I have it pulled up on the screen. This is Corn Sweat, and yeah, I guess I can see he has a little bit of Henry Cavill look to him. We also have for potential Lois Lane, we have Emma Mackey, who is in Sex Education on Netflix. Rachel Brosnahan, whom I want to see. I want to see her as Lois Lane. She was in the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. What is that? Is that on Netflix or is that on Amazon? I don't know. It's on one of those streaming services. But she was also in a small role in a short stint on The Blacklist, and I thought she did really well there too. So I think she, out of the names for Lois Lane, I think she's the best. They also have Phoebe Denevere and Samara Weaving. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of potential out there. But one of the other names that came up for casting is Nicholas Hoult. And here's the thing. I like Nicholas Hoult. He was Beast in the First Class and Apocalypse and X-Men films, not the original 3, but the ones with the younger cast. And he was actually up for the role of Batman for Matt Reeves' Batman, and lost out to Robert Pattinson. Yet they're saying that he is, now the Hollywood Reporter says that he is earmarked for Lex Luthor. However, I believe its Deadline is saying that he's actually in the running for Superman, which I don't see. I don't see him as Superman. Even if he puts on weight, I don't see Superman with him. However, the Hollywood Reporter also states that other characters this movie is going to be populated with many faces, other characters within the DC universe. So could we see a Bruce Wayne? Could that actually be Nicholas Hoult? Could he be getting his run at Bruce Wayne Batman in the upcoming DCU? Or will he play Luthor? Because there's other reports saying that they're looking for an African American or a black actor for the role of Lex Luthor. So there's a lot of interesting bits and pieces here from the Hollywood Reporter. While they're saying this is an exclusive, then you have other outlets saying that this isn't completely right, and then you even have James Gunn, who comes out and says, look, we're still not even near the ending stages. There aren't really any front runners yet, but he won't talk about who has been in the running or who has been auditioning, because it's not for him to say. That's for the actors to say if they would like to. So it's really interesting to see what happens. And this is a big casting, because this is what is going to show us what type of Superman we're going to have. This is a role that is heavily sought after. From what I've heard, we're talking about every actor in Hollywood who has the right physique and look between the ages of 25 and 35 have submitted to play this role, some type of audition to get this role. This is quite possibly the most coveted role in Hollywood right now, because this is a 10-year commitment. This is a mega paycheck. This could boost you up to like crazy stardom. And if you don't believe me, if you don't think that's right, well, you have to ask none other than Prime the Godfather himself. What's going on, man?
What's good, brother?
Hey, what's up? I'm just talking about how, whoever James Gunn casts as Superman, it's going to absolutely put them on a fast track to mega stardom. Because, I mean, this is a huge sought after role. And honestly, I mean, when you think about it, this is probably the biggest role that's in Hollywood right now for a young actor.
Yeah. I mean, when you play a character such as, Kal-El or Superman for the normies, that's not what they know him as. But you get that role. That's what's going to put you that's what's going to put you up there. Depending, even though the character is good, even people know the character, the success of the film is what's going to be the key for him to propel that actor. But yeah, just to have the mantle of Superman. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think people want to downplay the importance that James Gunn is to not only writing the script but directing this movie. And there's a reason why actors are looking for this role or looking to want to take on this role. Take a look what happened to Chris Pratt after the first Guardians of the Galaxy. His star just went shooting. Like, he became a mega star in Hollywood, and he got the Jurassic series. He's gotten action films. He's gotten this and that because it all came from Guardians of the Galaxy. And if you truly think about it, like, think of Chris Pratt pre-Guardians of the Galaxy. He was the fat guy on Parks and Rec. Nobody thought that he would be a big movie star like that.
No, they did not. I mean, pretty much. I mean, when you think about it, he was already known. He was known, but it propelled him. I mean, Guardians really propelled him. I would say the first one really got him, out there just as much. So, people got to understand that. It depends on what the franchise is. And then with Marvel being at its peak at that time, and then leading right into Guardians and the way how successful and how good Guardians 1 was. Yeah, I mean, Chris Pratt, really got his name. And then after that, with Endgame too. So
yeah. Now, I actually already pulled up the tweet that you tweeted out earlier. Let me see if I can pull it up again, because we'll talk about it again, because this is really what we wanted to talk about here. Let me see. Present, share screen. I'm going to go yell at my dog here in a second too. But here, listen to this, because this is something that you wanted to talk about here.
Did exactly what we're doing now. They're going through tons and tons of actors to see who captures that spirit. The thing they don't talk about much when they talk about Christopher Reeve, they talk about his pureness, his hope, his goodness. They talk about, the way that he plays Clark as being so different from the way he plays Superman, and how he can turn that on in an instant. But there's this playfulness about Superman. This, when he's saving a cat, he's got that wry smile.
Bye, Frisky. Well done.
And that is one of the best parts of the movie, is the playfulness of Superman. He enjoys what he's doing. He likes helping human beings.
So, yeah, what is your problem with that? Because you have
I don't have a problem with it. Go ahead, finish what you were saying, and I'll interject.
You have this tweet here, and it's basically how the tweet basically makes me believe that you don't want to see them go for that Christopher Reeve style again, because it's outdated. That you want them to continue and improve on what they did with Man of Steel and with what Henry Cavill and Zack Snyder created. That's kind of what I got from your tweet here.
No, when let me explain. If y'all watch that, and even when the discussion with James Gunn that I had, and basically that he didn't try to put it out, it went over a lot of people's heads. All right, I don't know if that's the big one or that's that's the first one. The one with that I put out that James Gunn replied to, and then everybody is overreacted. Then I had to. This is that one. Let me see. If you go down, no, that's the interview with the one I was talking about, that one, but it should be up there. Yeah, that. Now that one is the one I put up today, so people can have an aesthetic and understand what I mean by the evolution of the character, and which people don't understand at what I'm saying. You could go further down, and you will actually see the conversation. Go ahead, you can keep on going down. Good, that's full aesthetic right there. But right there, and then you can go further down. You'll see. I think it should be there because I didn't say anything. There you go, right there. So that's the one with James. You gotta open it all.
There we go. Yeah, I see it here.
You gotta open it all the way up. You gotta click on it to open it up because that's not the full tweet.
I got the. I mean, my screen just isn't big enough. I mean, this is as big as it's gonna get. This is the full tweet right here, and then you got the conversation.
Yeah, Jeff said. So all I was saying was this, is that he took it as is that I got it from actually the interview. No, what I stated was that look at the trail, look at the paper trail of what has been being said. Listen to what he actually stated. I'm not saying Superman 78 is bad. It's a great film. But like I said before, people keep on going to that film. I didn't say Donner was bad. I didn't say Superman 78 was bad. Superman has evolved. Okay? That Christopher Reeve Superman was 44 years ago. This is what people went over their head. And if you look at it, in 44 years, how many times Superman has been changed? But you're stuck on one version of the character. One. Just one. And people are thinking that Superman was good for that time because it was the first live action movie and it came out in 1978. I was 2. Okay, I was 2. I think a lot of people will understand where I'm coming from our generation. We were little. So when that movie came out, go back up to the other tweet with the eras, where I said that if you click on that, if you go back up to it, you will see exactly a full display of what I mean right there. You got to click on it. Yeah. You will see exactly that's comics iteration. And then the iteration where it says pop culture is for movies. Look at the gaps. Look at the gaps. When you look at Superman 1978, when was the next live action Superman movie?
Next movie was until 2006.
Yes.
And
think
really,
about that gap.
And
yes.
If you really think about it, because the one in 2006 was technically a continuation of 78, the real next iteration wasn't until 2013.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. So I tried to explain it to the point where is that people has inspiration just for that Superman. All I said was that people need to pay attention to animation and they need to pay attention to comics. They're just focused on 1978 or 1980 Christopher Reeve Superman.
You know, here's the thing though, because the what I hear more than anything else isn't that there's people that want to see the Donner version of Reeves or a different iteration. It's that they don't want to see that. They don't want to see anything but what Zach was creating. That's the loud noise out there. Now, I get it. The general audience back in 2014, 2016, 2017, they were the ones, the general audience were saying, this isn't like my Donner Superman, and that's what we like. But today, I think it's kind of flipped. I think that people today the general audience is more open to seeing a different iteration on what James Gunn is going to create, where we're seeing the Snyder fans and the Snyder boys, they're the ones who are sitting there saying, no, we don't want that. We can't have that. No, we need just this. They're the ones who are unwilling to allow there to be a change right now.
And that's true because they like the grounded version of the character. Mm-hmm. They like where it's a development of the character. The problem is that I have is that these individuals want a Superman where he is the Boy Scout.
Yes.
Where he smiles all the time. They want him to be this unrealistic person. He's never been like that. He was only like that in the Silver Age.
Yeah.
And when the Silver Age ended in comics, it carried over. You could go back up to the top and you can look at the eras. Go straight up. Keep on going right there. You will see the eras. That's why I check marked the eras of which were the key eras. They looked at the Silver Age. Once it got to the Bronze, okay, once it got to the Bronze, that's what everybody was accustomed to. When the modern age came, that's when it started getting to be adult. That's when DC started to get at its peak. That's when you got Elseworlds. That's when you got Dark Knight. That's when you started getting real serious and real grounded with adult stuff. That was the time when everything started to change. And I put that video down there. That's the DC documentary. People don't want to believe me? Watch it. Watch it.
No,
that was the time, because they had to change DC because the audience were not kids anymore.
Correct.
They were not kids anymore. And then when they got older, they had to make it grown up. They were grounded, more serious topics into politics, drugs, way of life, the way criminals actually act. And that's what they started to do. And then I meant to put down there too, when it come down to comics, you know, and this is how I know people, or a lot of individuals, that only stuck to pop culture. They didn't read comics. They say they did, but they didn't. Pop culture means you only stuck with the movies. You only stuck with the animated shows like Super Friends. That's all you knew.
Super Friends.
They didn't read the comics. So what I was saying is that look at the evolution and look at the iterations of the character and what had changed about him. Why do you think when the new 52 came out, I love the new 52 Superman? That's when all those dudes, when those people freaked out because they didn't like a Superman that was humanized, grounded. He had emotion. He got angry. You know, he actually had feelings.
Now, could you see, though, that the next evolution is to kind of regress a little bit for the character? We've had now since 2011, so we're talking about more than 10 years of that type of character, of that more grounded type of character. Could the next evolution now be more of a cyclical type of event where, yeah, I don't think it's going to get back to the golden age or the silver age, but maybe more back to that modern age of Superman where it's a little more grounded, a little darker, but not quite what it was over the last 10 years.
Well, that's what they're doing in comics now. They're bringing that older version of Superman back, which is the Boy Scout.
Which is that's when they continued Action Comics back in 2016.
Right. So, and when they did Rebirth, you know, they did the Rebirth, and then they did Doomsday Clock and all that stuff. People wanted that old Superman back. That's what they wanted. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. What I'm saying is that there was a reason why they had to change the character. People don't know what it is that they want. They don't even know what it is that they like.
No,
they just know they got a version of it, but don't understand what evolution is. So think about it. In this modern age, in this generation, if they go, and I'm just saying if, I'm not saying, that's why I say don't go back to this. All right? Don't go back to this. They want to go back to the Clark Kent where he's stupid. If they do that, it's gonna get clowned. They're gonna go back to a Clark Kent where people are not going to notice who he is or what he's about. It's going to get clowned.
And I don't think James Gunn's going to do that. I
don't think he is. Right. I'm just saying, if you're going to do it, don't go with that.
Yeah,
it's good. Don't just bring that version. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Don't go full with the full aesthetics. So all I'm saying is that you're going to do All-Star Superman. That's great. But if you're going to use the actual aesthetics of the Silver Age, I said if. That's why I said it's possible it can be that way. And the paper trail states otherwise, that it looks like that's where he's going. And it's good that he's building the universe and he's incorporating all this stuff with Superman, with the crypto. I know the reason why he's doing the crypto. They're doing the crypto. Yes, that's part of his story. But they're including crypto because they want to get the kids. They want to get women. That's the reason why they're incorporating crypto. They want to have that feel good lucky with pets. That's why they're incorporating crypto. So I'm not stupid. I understand why you're doing it. I'm not disliking it.
Yeah.
The only question that I have is that how is it going to be executed? How are you going to do it? Because if some people are going to think, well, look at Super Pets. If people saw Super Pets, it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable for kids. I'm not saying that was bad. It's enjoyable for kids. But the relationship with Cal and Crypto, is it possible they could take that route and make it funny, campy, and real playful? It's a possibility, because that's what James Gunn do. That's what James Gunn do. That's what James Gunn, that's what he does. But it might be a little bit more in a mature aspect, but playful. Again, execution is going to be the key.
Yeah.
So,
and in the tweet where James Gunn responded to you, he goes, "It's a weird thing to conclude from that interview. So because I said Old Boy was one of my favorite comic book movies in the same interview, that means I'm also copying that film's aesthetic, and Into the Spider-Verse, any movie I like means I'm copying the aesthetic for Legacy ? And I think he kind of jumped on it a little bit too, because like I said, your tweet, this one specifically, talks about how comic book films, and nothing wrong with that, high possibility of being another Wonder Woman 84. That's where it is right there. Superman Legacy has a high possibility of being another Wonder Woman 84 with those aesthetics now at the time. Once 84 was announced, Patty Jenkins, I knew it was going to be highly mediocre because the inspiration was Superman 78. So when you're talking about the Wonder Woman 84, I think that's kind of what even James Gunn kind of was like latching onto. And I get it. I think for him, he's going to, and I this is the one I actually responded to somewhere on here. I think you might be overthinking this a bit, Prime. Gunn has his own style, and I think it's important to be inspired by other works of art, especially what he has appreciated through time. And I think that's what he's going to do. I think he's going to pull pieces from Donner, from what Snyder did, possibly even from like what Tom Welling did in Smallville and this and that, pull all these little things together to mash together and make his own iteration. I think if anybody can do that, it's going to be James Gunn.
And I agree. I want him to do that. I just don't want him to just be like, let's just go full Boy Scout. To the point where, because when you look at the interview and when you look at the full context, that was he went into full context of what people are looking for within the character. And that's what they're looking for. That's what I took from it. Then I was like, oh, so with that, I get it, because you already gave other hints. If you're going to just copy that, and that's what you're going to do, that's why I said possibly. Mm-hmm. So my thing is that, but a lot of it went over people's heads, and that's fine. I don't care. But it's the simple fact is that I'm looking forward to Superman Legacy highly. I just don't want it to fall into the same trap that Jenkins and Singer and what they did. It didn't work. It don't work. It's going to get clowned in this generation.
Yeah, 100%.
Like for instance, I don't want to say, and I want to go ahead and get to the next point, but what I'm saying is that think about it. And when you think about it, if you put, and I will say this, if you go with comics and you go with animation, and you look at certain things with Superman, you will see the evolution. You will see the change. Even if it's like, I would say this, I'll put it to you like this. People were so accustomed to Christopher Reeve. Okay. That's all. That's basically and primarily what they talk about. They don't talk about no other outlets or no other takes of the character. They don't talk about the comics again. They talk about Superman all the time. Christopher Reeve, 1978. That's all they talk about. Okay. And all I'm saying is that if y'all just gonna keep on bringing that up, and the character is never going to move forward if y'all stay stuck there. I'm not saying that the way that that Superman acts, he's loving, he's caring, he's the boy. You can still have that, but to the point where he can't get mad, to the point where everything got to be a joke, everything got to be happy, lucky Dory. where real life situations don't happen. That's the Superman that they want, where he can go everywhere and take care of everything. That's the Superman that they want. That's what hurted the character. That's why the sales of the character. If people that's out there that don't believe me, go look it up. I lived it. I know it. Why do you think they had to revamp the character? In 1986, John Byrne did Man of Steel. He made the character relatable. He humanized the character. And then the little kids or the man babies about that time, they bitched about that. They still didn't go out and get Superman comics after 1986. But a lot of people gravitated to that six-part series.
Yeah.
Then what happened after that? They killed all Superman. You want to know why? They wanted to see if there were really Superman fans that was out there. They had to go to the extreme to kill them off for them to get sales. And it worked. And it worked.
It did.
It worked.
The one thing I also want to bring up about this, if we're going to talk about what we could see when it comes to a Superman from James Gunn, I mean, there's no confirmation on this, but just from the bits and pieces that Gunn has stated, it sounds like we're going to get an already established Superman.
Exactly.
A Superman who has already quite possibly struggled with becoming Superman and understanding where his place is in this world. And I think we're going to be able to see that Superman where he's a little more of a Boy Scout than what we saw with Zack Snyder, but also more modern, of a more modern take with the character. And I think that scares a lot of people. I do. I think that scares a lot of people.
Yeah, like, and that's the truth. And I like that. If that's what he's going to do, like, you put it in a, how can I say, people don't like that Superman is in a real world setting. Like the gentleman that just put the comment. Fantastic comment. I'm not knocking that. I get that. I completely understand that from a business perspective. I completely understand that. But sometimes if you don't, that's why I've always said with the median with the character. You got to have a median. You have to appease to the audience that is really coming into Superman. Because be honest with you, a lot of people didn't even care for Superman until Man of Steel. Why? Because they related to him. They couldn't relate to that other Superman. They could not. So you got to come with the median for newcomers, people that like that version, and for the people that like the old version or whatever. Me personally, I like them all. But I like the more humanized, grounded, serious version of the character. That's me. I don't like the campy stuff because, I'm not the type of, well, that's just me. I can't speak for everybody else. But that's why I say evolution and how the character has evolved in different stories. Okay? Yeah. So you have to look at it from that. And I hope that James Gunn, he does that. And that's good. If he puts it in a world setting, me personally, I hope he puts it in a real world setting so people can relate. The same thing they did with Man of Steel, with the internet, with the computers, with the people and the way the world will actually act.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If they does it now, if he's going to put it into the fictional version of it, I don't know how people are going to react to that.
So yeah, what Derpy Entertainment said here in the comments, he goes, the general audience, that's the target. Again, the general audience is the target. They don't care about the comics. They know the characters from cartoons and previous interpretations on the big screen. He says, I always wanted something to the level of the Deanie Tim universe. And that's from the Superman Adventures, that cartoon that was on in the mid-late 90s. He was then the same Superman that went into the Justice League cartoon and the Justice League Unlimited cartoon.
Right, exactly.
So that's kind of what he's looking for there. And I think that is a great starting point. Because I was a huge fan of those. It's a great starting point. But, with what you're saying and with what I was bringing up about him already being established, I think you get away, and I think that the expectation shouldn't be right away in this first Superman movie that they're going to tackle real world issues like they were doing with Zack Snyder. I think this one is going to be a little more fantastical. I think it's going to be a little more about Superman being a superhero and being that hero that we haven't seen when it comes to Superman in 44 years on the big screen and in live action. And I think that's what we're going to get, but that doesn't mean that in a sequel or other films within the DCU, we're not going to see, some different stories. And I'm worried that for people like you and I who really want to see an evolution of the character, I'm worried that there's going to be people who don't understand that right now they need to grab the attention of the general audience. They need to grab them and say, look, this is our Superman. He's going to go on adventures. He's going to have issues through his story. But right now, this is our Superman. He's a hero. Get excited. And I think that's what we're going to get in that first film.
Right. And I agree. I have nothing wrong with that. All I care about is just the execution, how you're going to do it, and just how everything is going to just to fall into place. I just don't want him just to go full-fledged, Boy Scout. Mm-hmm. Because you need to have him be able to have some type of emotion and have some type of conflictions on something to the point where people will still be relate to the character. It's good to have those elements. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. All I'm just saying is that, the campy and the cheesy stuff and all that other stuff. So, hey, It is what it is.
Derby says, I do think to have fun with it, the tone should be similar to Fleischer, but writing similar to the 90s animated series, not having limitations. He also says, I do think he's taking a lot out of All-Star, though, which, I think he's going to take a lot from All-Star. And I wouldn't mind like the Fleischer ideas because that was a little more fun. That was a little more childish, when it comes to Superman, in my opinion. But I'm just really interested to see what they do. And I think a lot of it's going to fall. The casting that they do for this role is going to tell us a lot about how they're going for this character, because if you take a look at somebody like Corn Sweat, who was supposedly the front runner, he's very much like a Henry Cavill type of actor in look and stature and demeanor. But then there's some other names that have popped up, such as Nicholas Hoult, who has a little bit more boyish charm and is maybe not as stoic and that force to be reckoned with. So depending on the casting that they go with, because we've seen so many different options, I think that's going to tell us that if they're going to go for a more modern and grounded take, or more of a boyish take where it's a little more family friendly, I guess we can say, in a way. And I think that's going to play pretty big. And that casting, you have to figure that's going to be announced this summer. We're going to know this summer who Superman's going to be.
Oh, I guarantee it's already know what you're going to announce. It's going to be at San Diego Comic-Con. That's a given. I mean, it's going to be at San Diego Comic-Con. I'm not even worried about that. But because they're doing filming, they're going to start filming the movie in January of 2024.
Yeah.
So they're already set to go. They're just going to let people know who they're going to cast, and it's going to be huge. It's going to be big. And you're right about the casting. But I still believe, and I'm not going to break off of this. Like I said, me and my cousin, we talked about this heavily, is that they're going to use 78 aesthetics. And I think that they're going to look for a female that played Lois Lane. That's just a similar version of Kidder.
Yeah.
That played Lois Lane. I think that's what they're going to do.
And I think they found their Lois. I think they have. It's that Brosnahan. What's her name again? I can't think of her name right now.
Yeah,
Rachel
Brosnahan.
See, I think she's a good actress. I've seen her in things, and I think she would do really well in the role, but she does have more of a Margot Kidder type of demeanor to her. And maybe that's what draws me into saying, yeah, she could play Lois because we've seen it before. But some of the other names that have popped up, I just don't see it. Like Samara Weaving, she's an okay actress. I just don't see Lois Lane from her. And that's kind of what it is. But then again, we don't know what the writing is going to be. And
right. That's the key. That's the key.
Exactly. I don't know, man. I'm excited. I can't wait to see what James Gunn does with this. I do want to talk more about this. I honestly, Prime, I think we need to just have you on the show all the time.
I mean, I want people to I don't want people to think that I'm hating. I don't want these traps. I just don't want James Gunn to fall into that trap again.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want them to fall into that trap.
And it's really tough with social media. It's always tough to put out what you're truly thinking. I fall into it myself. I'll say one thing and you just leave out one little idea or one little aspect of what you're saying or trying to say, and people jump all over you and think it's something else. So I get it. When it comes to social media, it's kind of difficult to do that. But James Gunn, I do agree he probably should step back from social media a little bit and not it's cool that he responded to you. You got to have a little conversation with James Gunn.
This is the fourth time he responded to me. Isn't that new?
So
it's not. It's like a lot of things he agreed, and I'm not saying that I'm not. And people thinking it's a hit piece or something like. No, I just wanted James just not to fall into that trap. Yeah. And like I say, I'm ready for Superman Legacy. I'm looking for it. I just don't want that same thing or whatever like that from the inspiration. But hey, it is what it is. All we can, and like I always say, time will tell. Yeah. We got another year and we got 2 years actually, if you want to get technical, because the movie not coming out until July of 25.
25, yeah. So almost 2 years.
We got 2 years. So from today, we got 2 years and a month.
Yeah, that's nuts. That is absolutely crazy.
Right.
Hey, I got to get going. Thanks so much for coming on here talking. We got to do. I think we need to just continue doing this and talking DC all the time. But I know that you did get to go see Fast X here, so give me a real quick reaction to Fast X.
I'm gonna put it to you like this: it's not the best one. It's not the best one. I'll put you like this. My girl is a Fast fanatic. And they start to go a little bit overboard. I would say this. Jason Momoa did a fantastic job. Mm-hmm. Okay? If y'all don't know, there's going to be 2 more Furious. Yeah. There's going to be 2 more. Oh, and they really emphasize the going into the next one. I tell you that. And when you see it, you be like, what? So it has its moments, but it is fast to the point where it's a little bit overboard. They do things. Oh wow, they do things that's just over. But it is a little bit cheesy, but entertaining.
Yeah. So
at the same time, if you go in with a blank slate. Do not come in with no high expectations. Just go in knowing it's a Fast and Furious film. You're going to be entertained. You're going to be like, really? Seriously? But that was sweet though. That's what you're gonna say. Yeah. So I'm gonna put my review up on Twitter in a few, but I would say this, it's gonna, it's people are gonna go see it, but they're gonna have to come with it on the second part to the third. So it is what it is. It got its good moments, but it's a lot of cheese, man. It's like they get carried away with a lot of stuff. I'm like, what? Really? So I don't want to blow up for everybody. If y'all want to go out and go see it, go see it. It's not the best Fast and Furious. Oh, it's not one of the best. I'll probably say, Bae, would you say that this new Fast is like close with Tokyo Drift?
Yeah.
See? Yeah, so she's saying it's like close to Tokyo Drift. Gotcha. So if y'all can understand what Tokyo Drift was, you pretty much can get an idea what I'm talking about. But it's a little bit over the top. Tokyo Drift, even though it was about racing and stuff, they had racing in Tokyo Drift and different stuff. This stuff they going way over the top, like. But other than that, all I can say is that if you go in with a closed mind, you will see the cheese, but you will enjoy it. It'll be like, really? What? But it'll be like it's sweet.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it is what it is. So
Yeah.
But
well,
I know you got to get going, bro.
Well, no, thanks, man. Thanks for coming here. Everybody, if you want to find more from Prime, his YouTube channel is in the description. You can find him on Twitter at Prime_76. Check him out. He's a great guy to follow. Great conversation. Thank you so much. And like I said, we got to keep doing this. So
no problem, man.
All right.
No problem.
Thanks, man. I'll talk to you later. Everybody else, Thank you for watching. Hit that QR code on the screen there and find all of our links to everything else. Subscribe, like. We're almost to 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. So please, please share this with your friends, family, aunts, uncles, grandparents, all that jazz. With all that said, I will talk at all of you later.